Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to the No DQ live recap of AEW Dynamite for November the 18th, 2020. Shout out to everybody in the chat room watching this live. I appreciate your viewership and support. I will also be talking about a little bit of what happened on NXT as well. Stay tuned for that after I finish the AEW recap. We opened up AEW Dynamite with a tag team match, the champs, the Young Bucks against Top Flight. This young up-and-coming tag team, they're only 21 and 19 respectively. There was a nice video package to introduce us to them. They're high flyers, as you would expect from their name. They were influenced by the Young Bucks and the Motor City Machine Guns. They were trained by Ken Anderson and Molly Holly. Anyways, it's your pretty standard match where you have the veteran team versus the rookies. Top Flight looked pretty good here. Got some offense on the Bucks, but in the end, Bucks picked up the win with the BTE trigger. And then after the match was over, Jack Evans and Angelico jumped Top Flight. And then the Bucks made the save. Bucks helped up Top Flight and gave them the seal of approval that they put up a good fight. There was a handshake, all that stuff here. Looks like we'll be seeing Evans and Angelico as the next people to challenge the Bucks. Then we had our first of two Las Vegas segments with the Inner Circle. The Inner Circle partying in Vegas. They were gambling. Sammy was getting ripped off by MJF, I presume, at blackjack. I'm disappointed because they did not do a Jake the Snake Roberts 22 joke. Where was Jake? I mean, I guess they could not fly him out there, and that would be putting him at too much risk with COVID-19, but it would have been funny if we got a Jake Roberts, I got 22 joke with Jake Roberts in the segment, but we did not get it, unfortunately. There were dancers, Inner Circle enjoying a nice Vegas show from the lady dancers, and then Jericho and MJF were having drinks, and they kept trying to outdo the other one as far as the alcohol content goes, just like they did with the steaks a couple of weeks ago. They staggered out of the casino, and then we had a cameo from Conan, former WCW and TNA star Conan. He had something else for them, and they were in a limousine. There was smoke coming out of the limo, so they got the smoke. They got drunk, they got high, they were messed up pretty bad. And back at the bar, Wardlow and Jake Hager were taking turns beating up people in the bar. Fun stuff here from the Inner Circle. And then we had a follow-up segment, which I'll get to in a few minutes here. We had a Jon Moxley promo to hype up the contract signing. Yes, AEW hyping up a contract signing. Yeah. So anyways, Moxley talked about his dad and how his dad was the reason he's been AEW champion for so long. And he then said that he's working hard and he has a pregnant wife at home. Of course, we all know Jon Moxley is married to Renee Young. Looks like Renee Young has a bundle of joy for the household coming soon. Pretty crazy how I think now, yeah, because you got Becky Lynch giving birth soon and Reigns' wife gave birth recently. In a span of around a year to 2 years, we're going to have all three Shield members with new kids arriving. That's quite significant, and three of the all-time greats of this era. I feel like maybe one day those kids will all be in the ring going against each other. Johnny Boy with a $5 super chat. He says, warning off topic. Well, thank you for the super chat, Johnny Boy. He says, With the COVID numbers going up, do you think wrestlers will start going away for a while again? Roman Reigns and so forth. It could happen, but I think because everybody knows what the deal is now with COVID-19, they'll probably stick around. Keep in mind, back in March, we really did not know what the hell was going on. And now WWE is doing testing for every show. They were not doing testing at first. It took a couple months before WWE was doing testing. They're doing it now, and I feel like most of the guys will stick around. You know, you got to make a living, right? TJS with a $3 super chat. Thank you for that, TJS. He says, rankings and number one contenders match. Contradictory? Yeah, you could say that, TJS, and thank you for going off topic. Hashtag shame. Hashtag stick to the topic. And Steve-O, yes, Finn Balor did make an announcement, and I will, well, actually he didn't. He did, but he didn't. We'll get to that in a few minutes here. Stay tuned for that. Congratulations, by the way, to Jon Moxley and Renee Young. And JR, Jim Ross, hyped up Dynamite in 2 weeks, which is going to be the Winter is Coming special. I wonder if HBO will have an issue with that name for their show. Just saying. We had Miro on commentary. Remember when Miro Rusev was a big deal, and man, he just feels like a random guy on the roster now. Like, I forget he was a really big deal, or at least he was supposed to be a big deal in WWE a while back. It's like he just doesn't feel like anything special anymore. Miro was on commentary for Orange Cassidy versus Kip Sabian. Kip slapped Orange, well, at least attempted to, and then Orange slapped Kip with his version of the slap, which of course was a very weak slap, but that's how Orange Cassidy does business. But the match quickly kicked into high gear, went back and forth, and Cassidy picked up the win using his mousetrap pinfall. That's what they're calling it, the mousetrap, the llama straw cradle. And after the match, Miro ran down to the ring, took a shot at Orange Cassidy. Best friends quickly ran down to make the save. There's some best friends, I got to tell you, because a lot of times we see guys get beat down and their friends are nowhere to be found. But the best friends, they got out there in a hurry. They are truly best friends. And they did a big hug afterwards. At some point, I'm guessing we'll see Miro versus Orange Cassidy. And not really sure how I feel about it. Like, Miro should be doing something better, in my opinion. But, I mean, and not a knock on Orange Cassidy, but, like, Miro should be groomed for the main event spot. I mean, seriously. What are they doing with him? We had the contract signing segment, Kenny Omega and Jon Moxley. Omega was introduced as the Wrestling Observer Hall of Famer. So there you go. Another nod to Uncle Dave. And backstage, Moxley was laid out. Somebody attacked him. His nose was bleeding. Omega did not really seem to care. He just got on the mic and said, well, hopefully Moxley will be there in 2 weeks, but no more excuses. He signed the contract, and I guess we'll have to wait and see what the follow-up is, if Moxley will be ready to go for the Winter is Coming event in 2 weeks. We had part 2 of the Inner Circle's party. They were on the rooftop of one of the casinos, one of the parking lots of the casinos. Elvis was their honorary member of the Inner Circle. Everybody started howling. They were very wasted, of course. And Elvis even tried to calm everybody down, saying, don't get all shook up, using his lines. Then in the morning, it was the hangover. Chris Jericho woke up next to Elvis. MJF woke up in a hot tub. Sammy Guevara was in the fountain. Ortiz was working out. Santana was just off doing other stuff, whatever he was doing. And Sammy Guevara had written on MJF's head in the middle of the night saying, Sammy was here and MJF did not know about it. And then Sammy found out he married 3 women during the festivities. He now has 3 wives. And then to top it all off, they opened this room and there was a baby hornswoggle. Of course, a direct reference to the Hangover movie. It was funny. I mean, it wasn't the best thing in my opinion that these guys have produced, but it was fairly entertaining. Again, I think they missed an opportunity with Jake Roberts. They should have shot the segment at a casino in Florida so they could have gotten Jake Roberts there. They totally missed the 22 joke. That would have gotten the big pop from me if they had done that. But all in all, it was pretty funny. It was essentially a knockoff Hangover, as Curtis Butler points out. We had Eddie Kingston on commentary for Pac's big return against Blade. And basically, this was a very WWE-like match where you had lots of outside interference. You had the Butcher and the Bunny out there at ringside, and Pac was the stupid baby face. He went to the outside, got in Butcher's face, and then he got blindsided by the Blade. And then later on, the Bunny grabbed Pac's leg. Butcher attacked Pac from behind. I was going to say attacked Pac. And Pac managed to make a comeback. Pac, whatever his name is. Actually, funny thing is, I'll get to that in just a second here. Pac went for the Black Arrow. Bunny got on the apron again. And then Butcher attempted to interfere, but he got kicked in the face by Pac. And Pac then hit the Shooting Star Press and put on the Brutalizer. Blade tapped out. Pac wins his big match. Pac got on the mic. He was going to talk, but then he got attacked by the Butcher. Pac got attacked by the Butcher, and then Eddie Kingston came in the ring and said the line, Pac, whatever your name is, and he made fun of him like everyone's making a big deal about the 8 months. You've been gone for so long. It's the world's smallest violin. And then Ray Phoenix came down and jumped in the ring, and I'm not sure what he did when he came into the ring. It looked like he slipped on the ropes or something. He basically stumbled into the ring, and he quickly got overwhelmed. And then Pentagon arrived with a steel chair, acted like he was going to hit his brother, but instead went over towards Eddie, acting like he was going to hit Eddie. Eddie fled the ring, and next week we're going to have, I believe, Pac, whatever you want to call him, teaming up with Phoenix against the Butcher and the Blade. Quite the segment here. Like I said, it felt very, very WWE-esque, in my opinion. We had Jade Cargill backstage attacking Brandy Rhodes. Attacked her, went after the arm, and then Big Swole made the save, and JR just referred to Jade Cargill as this Jade lady. I don't even think they used her last name. So maybe like WWE, she's just Jade now. Although, didn't Impact Wrestling, Mia Yim was there and she was just called Jade? So, yeah, can they even do that? Can they just call her Jade, or could Impact Wrestling have an issue with that? We had Thunder Rosa versus Serena Deeb. Not quite at the 9:30 time slot, although it did go well past 9:30. It's basically that second half of the show. We get the big women's segment. Thunder Rosa challenging Serena Deeb for the NWA Women's Championship. And this was a hell of a match. The only criticism I would have would be that they had interference, which I guess is to build a storyline. But they had such a killer match that I would have liked to have seen it just end cleanly. Back and forth here between Deeb and Rosa, and then all of a sudden Rebel, or whatever her name is, the announcers don't even seem to know what her name is. She appeared at ringside, and she was a distraction. Britt Baker showed up and attacked Thunder Rosa when the referee wasn't looking. But the match continued. Deeb could not put away Rosa despite Baker's interference, and they had lots of near falls at this point, multiple near falls. Serena Deeb got a submission on, but Rosa broke out. There were more near falls, and then finally Deeb managed to pick up the win. Last 5 minutes of this, the near falls and everything, this was a hot match. These two killed it. Great stuff here from the ladies. And again, I've said this in previous weeks. I feel like the NWA matches are just completely overshadowing the AEW Women's Champion Hikaru Shida. Like, the NWA women are totally killing it. They're the stars of the AEW Women's division right now. After the match was over, Britt Baker was at ringside, I guess, to gloat, and Rosa attacked Baker. We had the WWE pull-apart brawl segment, referees coming down, crowd chanting, "Yet let them fight," and then they managed to break away from the referees and keep fighting. I think it's kind of lame, overdone, the whole pull-apart brawl. That's just my opinion. It's way overdone. I prefer it over the contract signings, but not by much. Anyways, the match was awesome. And hey, if it means Britt Baker, in order for Britt Baker to get in the key spot in the women's division, she's got to go for the NWA Women's Championship. I mean, to me, that's clear right now, because that's what the big deal is right now, not the AEW Women's Championship. Speaking of the AEW Women's Championship, next week it is going to be Anna Jay of the Dark Order. Yes, the Dark Order still exists. And Long John Silver was there with her to hype up the match. Anna Jay challenging Hikaru Shida on next week's show. So yeah, looks like Shida will be doing something next week. And we'll see if that match can surpass this week's match with Thunder Rosa and Serena Deeb. We had our main event of the evening. Let me take a sip of water here. By the way, NoDQ.com/merch. This Sunday, my birthday, November 22nd, you can get 22% off all NoDQ merch over at NoDQ.com/merch using the code SURVIVOR. But anyways, main event time. Cody and Darby Allin. I guess if they were combined, they would be Kobe. Cody and Darby versus Brian Cage and Ricky Starks from Team Taz. Taz was on commentary for this match. He left the desk during the commercial break. It was back and forth here, and then pretty standard tag match, and then they all got in the ring at the end, and all hell broke loose. But Brian Cage hit his drill lock off the top rope, so an avalanche drill lock on Darby, pinned the TNT champion. This felt like WWE too. Like, this is the kind of booking pattern where the new champion immediately starts losing matches. I know you got to build up new contenders, but I'm not a fan of when the new champion starts immediately doing jobs right away. So, not really a fan of it. Not really a fan of this. I know you got to build up a challenger, but yeah, I don't know. So after the match was over, the heels continued to beat down on Darby. Cody came in. He got overwhelmed. And then all of a sudden, Will Hobbs made the save. He had the FTW Championship. He picked it up. But then Vince Russo's swerve. He hit Cody with the FTW Championship and officially joined Team Taz. I guess this is an opportunity for Will Hobbs. I kind of liked him as a babyface and was interested to see what he could do, but maybe he'll be better off as a heel. Who knows? Maybe Taz can help put him over. And the thing is, you already got Brian Cage as the monster, although you could potentially put Brian Cage and Will Hobbs together as a tag team. But if I see them against the Young Bucks, like, it would be hard for me to think the Young Bucks could beat those guys. Just, suspension of disbelief. But of course, the Bucks are the Bucks and everyone loves them. So overall, not a bad Dynamite, but did not blow me away. The only match that really blew me away was the NWA Women's match. Thunder Rosa and Serena Deeb. To me, that was what stole the show this week. Everything else was fine, but nothing that I would really say you need to go out of your way to see. It was a pretty solid show, though. So I'm going to go with a B-. Solid Dynamite, pretty standard. Nothing too great, but it was fine. Let's see what you guys thought in the chat room. Kim Hall gives it a B. Kev with a B-. Mr. Heavy Metal Hero Dude with a B. Harley with a C-. Lewis with a B. Dr. NXT Scorpio with a B-. And Bruce Marvel 88 with an A for both shows. Nick Glavin with a B. And Gary with a B+. All right, so I will go over a few highlights from NXT. We had Johnny Gargano versus the new North American champion, Mr. Leon Ruff. And basically the storyline here is that Johnny considers Leon to be a joke of a champion. And then Damian Priest came down to the ringside area, and Gargano was on the verge of regaining the title. He hit the one final beat DDT, and Priest pulled Ruff out of the ring, punched Ruff so Gargano would get disqualified. So Damian purposely screwed over Gargano, and backstage, Ruff was not happy about this. He slapped Damian Priest, and then later we had a big brawl with the three of them, and I guess we're going to have a match between them maybe at the next pay-per-view, which is one of the other big notes of the show. NXT War Games pay-per-view coming up on December 6th. We are, in fact, getting our War Games show. Now, I'm curious to see what they do with the Capitol Wrestling Center. Are they going to get 2 rings in there and have the whole cage set up? But we are getting War Games. Maybe they'll just do 1 cage this year with weapons, make it TNA Lockdown style, but we'll see. We are getting the War Games pay-per-view. That should be really fun. And the main event match of the show was Rhea Ripley versus Io Shirai, and Io beat her. Io beat her. First, she hit a power bomb on the outside. She power bombed Ripley through the table, got her back in, hit the moonsault, and won. And I think you got to call up Ripley now. Like, she lost to Io. She put her over. What else do you do with Ripley? Like, she should be on the main roster. I mean, she's top star potential. She was back at the beginning of the year. And I think NXT was holding her back, and going back to NXT was lowering her potential. So I'm hopeful that Ripley will be part of the main roster. And as Colin Andrews says, maybe she'll be the last member of Team Smackdown. I would be fine with that, although I feel like maybe I'd have to change my prediction if that happens. I guess we'll see. In the No DQ Predictions League, we can change our picks if we get more information about the match before the show, which I may do if Ripley's on it. Yeah, I agree, Maud W. 1 year ago, Ripley felt like something special. She was on fire, and now she's just kind of been there in NXT. Hasn't done a whole lot. And yeah, now she's putting over Io Shirai. Like, what else do you do with her? She should be on the main roster, and you should start building her up as a top contender on either Raw or SmackDown. We had our last segment, which went into the overtime. Finn Balor came out to make his big announcement, but before he could really say what his announcement was, as I said earlier, it was an announcement, but not really the announcement. He was interrupted by Pat McAfee and his crew, the Kings of NXT, and they basically wanted Balor to hand over the championship to them, forfeit the title and give it to them. And then Finn Balor said that he has a surprise for them. And out came the Undisputed Era. They are not done. They are back. And we all pretty much figured this was going to happen with War Games especially. You're going to do Pat's team versus the UE. I fully suspect that's the obvious match. Undisputed Era ran down. We had a big brawl to end the show. Nice setup for NXT War Games. Colin Andrews says those new Undisputed Era hoodies are fire. Can't wait to get one. And yeah, it was a solid NXT from what I saw, but again, not like one of these shows that you really have to go out of your way to see. You could probably watch the YouTube clips and be caught up with it. I mean, that's what I would be doing. And people ask me, like, which shows would you watch live if you were not covering wrestling for a job? Maybe SmackDown, maybe AEW, but that would be it. Like, I haven't been watching NXT fully that much lately, so, and I should be, but it's a bit much right now, especially with the pandemic. And Raw, hell no. Not a chance I would be watching a 3-hour Raw every week. No friggin' way. So thank you guys for tuning in tonight. I hope you enjoyed the recap. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe. Turn on notifications so you get updates. And stay tuned to NoDQ.com. My birthday is this Sunday. Survivor Series 30-year anniversary of The Undertaker's debut. I will be recapping that show. A lot of content coming this weekend. Stay tuned. Stay positive, everyone, and be safe. Take care, everybody.